Headlines of VTV News. Vietnamese Australian Prime Ministers announce comprehensive strategic partnership. National Conference looks into law enforcement. And later on in our world news, UAE and Egypt make airdrops of humanitarian aid to Gaza.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to VTV News, coming live to you from Hanoi. You're with me, Lina Fatman. Here's the top news of the hour. State President Võ Văn Thưởng presented the decision to bestow the Procurator of the Supreme People's Procuracy title, the highest of the procuracy sector, upon 5 individuals on Thursday. The state's president noted that the People's Procuracies exercise the right of the public prosecution and control judicial activities. They are tasked with protecting law, human rights, citizens' rights, and the socialist regime, the state's interests, along with the rights and legitimate interests of organizations and individuals. The state leader asked the procurators to keep making self-improvement, promote their political mettle, stay absolutely loyal to the party, fatherland, and people, and uphold the revolutionary morality and professional ethics. He also ordered them to actively engage in law building, the settlement of important and strategic issues of the procuracy sector, the building and rectification of the party and units of the sector, along with the comprehensive development of the sector. Vietnamese Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính held talks with his Australian counterpart Anthony Albanese in Canberra on Thursday as part of his 3-day official trip to the Oceanian country. Welcoming the Vietnamese Prime Minister, the host leader said the visit is of significance and is a milestone in the bilateral ties after the two countries set up their diplomatic relations 50 years ago.
Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh, his spouse, and a high-ranking delegation of Vietnam, who are on an official visit to Australia, were welcomed with a 19-gun salute at a ceremony hosted by Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and his fiancée in Canberra. The Australian leader hailed the Vietnamese delegation's positive contributions to the success of the ASEAN, Australia Special Summit held in Melbourne on March 5 and 6. The Vietnamese leader asked Australia to create favorable conditions for Vietnamese enterprises to do business and invest in the country, while welcoming Australia's investments, especially high-quality ventures with state-of-the-art technologies. The two nations will work together to promote green hydrogen production in Vietnam and join hands in climate change response. Australia will help the Southeast Asian country to realize its net zero target by 2050. Touching on security defense cooperation, they concurred to effectively carry out the peacekeeping partnership arrangement and continue close cooperation in education and training, prevention of cross-border crimes, information and experience sharing between the two armies' units, post-war recovery and national database building. The Vietnamese Prime Minister spoke highly of Australia's stance that supports the respect for international law in the region and settlement of disputes in the East Sea via peaceful means in accordance with the international law. Especially the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea or UNCLOS. In the spirit of sincerity and trust, the two leaders expressed their delight at the strong development of the friendship and strategic partnership between the two countries and agreed to elevate the ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership.
In today's very successful talks, the Australian Prime Minister and I, on behalf of the two governments, announced the upgrade of Vietnam-Australia relations to the level of a comprehensive strategic partnership. This cooperative relationship has contributed to strengthen and deepen relations and met the common aspirations of the two peoples.
Last year, Australia and Vietnam celebrated 50 years of diplomatic relations. Those 5 decades have seen Australia and Vietnam build an enduring partnership, a friendship based on trust, mutual respect, family and community ties, and a shared vision for an open, stable and prosperous Indo-Pacific. Elevating our ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership today places Australia and Vietnam among each other's most significant partners.
Previously, the two leaders witnessed the signing and exchange of 11 cooperation documents between the two countries in the areas of education, training, energy and mining, agriculture, forestry, and fisheries, science, technology and innovation, labor and employment, trade, investment, finance, and banking, defense and peacekeeping, and justice.
Also, during the visit, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính and his spouse had a meeting with Australian Governor-General David Hurley and his spouse in Canberra. The Prime Minister thanked Australia for providing Vietnam with valuable support both in the past and at present, including the construction of Mỹ Thuận and Cao Lãnh bridges in the Mekong Delta region, the transport of Level 2 Field Hospital to the UN peacekeeping mission in South Sudan, and the training of high-quality human resources for Vietnam. The two sides agreed to strengthen bilateral cooperation in education, culture, and people-to-people exchanges. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính suggested Australia create favorable conditions for the Vietnamese community to live, work, and study in Australia and maintain the Vietnamese language and traditions. Vietnam welcomes Australian citizens to work, study, and invest in Vietnam, he affirmed. Later, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính met with President of the Australian Senate, Madame Sue Lines. The Vietnamese leader underlined the significance of the official visit to Australia by the high-level Vietnamese delegation, which manifests Vietnam's desire to work with Australia in further consolidating and deepening bilateral relations between the two countries. For her part, Australian Senate President Sue Lines said she will visit Vietnam soon, saying the visit is intended to implement the cooperation agreement between the two legislatures, which was signed in 2022. The two leaders agreed to further tighten people-to-people diplomacy, cooperate in combating climate change, and open direct flights to expand collaboration in education, training, and tourism. The two sides also exchanged experiences on issues of mutual concern, such as gender equality, support for disadvantaged groups, ethnic minorities, and people with disabilities. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính received leader of the Liberal Party of Australia, Peter Dutton, and Deputy Speaker of the Australian House of Representatives and Chairperson of the Australia-Vietnam Friendship Parliamentaries Group, Sharon Clayton, in Canberra on Thursday, within the framework of his official visit to Australia.
During the meeting with leader of the Liberal Party of Australia, Peter Dutton, the Vietnamese leader underlined that the government and people of Vietnam's wish to further consolidate and deepen the relationship between the two countries, working together to implement the newly established comprehensive strategic partnership, which opens up new prospects for cooperation in the coming time. For his part, Dutton appreciated the official visit, saying that his country treasures its relations with Vietnam, considering it one of the important partners in the Asia-Pacific region, regardless of which party in Australia is in power. The two sides agreed to promote the exchange of delegations and contacts at high level and enable friendship associations of the two countries to organize cultural, sports, and charity activities, strengthen practical cooperation between localities, and enhance collaboration in gender equality and protecting the rights of vulnerable groups.
During the meeting with Deputy Speaker of the Australian House of Representatives, the Vietnamese Prime Minister appreciated the cooperation between the Vietnamese National Assembly and the Australian Parliament, saying he hopes that the relations between the two legislative bodies, as well as the two Friendship Parliamentarians groups, will continue to be strengthened, particularly through promoting the exchange of young parliamentarians and female ones. The Vietnamese government leader proposed the two sides cooperate to renew old growth drivers in investment, export, and consumption, and add new ones such as digital economy, green economy, circular economy, and sharing economy.
A real delight.
He suggested Australia continue to create conditions and provide scholarships for Vietnamese students. He also urged Australia to consider and recognise the Vietnamese community in Australia as its ethnic minority.
A national conference was held in Hanoi on Thursday to review the enforcement of laws and resolutions adopted at the 15th National Assembly's 6th session and 5th extraordinary meeting. The conference was chaired by National Assembly Chairman Vương Đình Huệ and was connected with 63 cities and provinces.
The conference focused on elaborating new, key points and tasks set out in 9 laws and 10 resolutions, and some special mechanisms and policies to materialize national target programs. Besides, the conference also scrutinized reports by the National Assembly Standing Committee and the government regarding the implementation work, some on supervision preparations, and others. The report also touched upon administrative reform, decentralization, the responsibility of office leaders, the communications work, and inspections over the implementation.
The National Assembly acted quickly and the government was also urgent in resolving problems. Most of the issues raised by VCCI have been responded to and resolved.
During the conference, delegates also provided information on the implementation of laws related to housing policy and the implementation of national target programs.
After the law was passed, it is expected that by 2025, about 3,000 social houses will be built, and 10,000 to 15,000 more houses will be added to the system by 2030.
At the event, the National Assembly chairman said the reports and speeches presented sketched out specific solutions for the National Assembly and government agencies in this regard.
I shall request that the government and the Prime Minister soon issue documents detailing the implementation of laws and resolutions passed by the National Assembly at the 5th Extraordinary Session. Besides, the government should specifically assign agencies to improve the effectiveness and efficiency in law enforcement, tighten discipline, and promote the responsibility of leaders. The authorities should regularly organize dialogues with businesses and people to promptly remove difficulties and problems that arise during the process of organizing law enforcement.
Following the conference, a final conclusion will be made, serving as a basis for relevant agencies during the implementation. 27 out of the 63 cities and provinces nationwide have put forth implementation plans and guidance documents. The National Assembly chairman also called for greater efforts and closer coordination to put the legislature's decisions and policies in place.
On the occasion of the International Women's Day and the Chung Sisters Uprising, National Assembly Chairman Vương Đình Huệ met female National Assembly deputies and female leaders of the National Assembly Office and the Institute for Legislative Studies. The chairman affirmed that the National Assembly's comprehensive results over the past time is partly attributed to female National Assembly deputies and female leaders and staff of the National Assembly Office and other National Assembly agencies. The chairman proposed that in the coming time, all levels and branches continue to thoroughly grasp the Politburo's resolution on women's work and implement tasks and solutions to achieve gender equality. He also asked them to pay more attention to personnel plans of female officials and leaders and foster training for them. Coming up next, Sơn Dong among 10 best caves in the world. And Vietnamese herbalist protects traditional medicinal knowledge and practices. Welcome back to VTV News. Ho Chi Minh City recently announced a set of indicators to evaluate digital transformation of local departments, branches, and people's committees of districts in Thủ Đức City in 2023. This is the first year the city has introduced such an index. It includes 6 main indicators for departments and sectors. Meanwhile, Thủ Đức City was evaluated based on 9 main indicators. Initial statistics show that the level of digital transformation of units at the advanced level is 35%, at the formation level is 58%, and at the startup level 6%. The Ho Chi Minh City Export Processing and Industrial Zones Authority and the Department of Home Affairs were the 2 leading units. In terms of localities, Phú Nhuận District and Thủ Đức City took the lead. The global magazine Time Out recently listed Sơn Dong Cave in Vietnam's central Quảng Bình province among the top 10 caves in the world. Discovered in 1990, Sơn Dong Cave is the world's largest natural cave, encompassing over 38 million cubic meters of space. It is located within Phong Nha Kẻ Bàng National Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and has been open to tourists since 2013. Foreign newspapers have likened the cave's vastness to a space large enough for a Boeing 747 to fly through without damaging its wings. Sơn Dong is one of 3 Asian representatives on this list, the other 2 being China's Reed Flute Cave and Laos Paku Caves. Vietnam boasts a diverse source of rare and precious medicinal herbs. Most of them are planted in mountainous areas. Thanks to joint efforts made by local herbalists, traditional medicinal knowledge and practices have been preserved and passed down through the generations for centuries. Join us in a trip to Văn Yên District, Yên Bái Province, to discover how herbalist Ha Thị Thoa from the Muong ethnic community has saved hundreds of lives by using folk medicine.
These are pineapple plants. Traditionally, we use pineapple crowns to treat kidney stones. We often combine pineapple with other medicinal plants to get the most effective treatment. Pineapple plants grow naturally near local streams. Herbs that grow naturally are the most powerful plants.
Ha Thị Thoa has preserved her family's traditional medicinal knowledge and practices, including her father's medicine for the treatment of snake bites and her mother-in-law's medicine for the treatment of kidney failure.
Bị sỏi thận từ 2005 cơ.
I visited many traditional healers to seek their treatment, but it went nowhere. So today I met Thoa to get her remedies.
Many people in Vietnam by snakes had thought they would have to remove a body part. Thanks to her remedies, they were cured after 20 days of treatment.
According to Thoa, Vietnam still lacks precious medicinal plants, causing difficulties for traditional healers and herbalists. Phie has grown more than 100 medicinal plants in her garden. To expand the growing area of medicinal plants, Phie have worked with local authorities to persuade other villagers to grow herbs.
Medicinal plants can grow naturally. I brought several plants home to grow in my garden. I also persuade local villagers to reduce pesticide use and grow more trees to facilitate the development of medicinal plants.
We will preserve and promote the cultivation of medicinal plants. In addition, we'll provide training for medical staff and traditional medicine practitioners to enhance their knowledge and skills.
Phie can treat more than 200 patients using folk remedies each year, with survival rate reaching 85%. After 40 years of preserving traditional medicine practices, she has always improved her knowledge and skills to create new plant-based medicines for effective treatment of various diseases.
I'll pass down traditional medicinal practices from generation to generation.
The Ruk people is the subgroup of the Chit ethnic community who live mainly in the mountainous district of Quảng Bình province. As their lives deeply associated with nature, the Ruk people are facing many difficulties integrating into modern societies. In the past, the Ruk people were not fully aware of the importance of education, leading to a very low literacy rate. However, in 2022, the first person of the Ruk community passed the university entrance exam, laying the foundation for others to pursue their studies.
Cao Thị Lệ Hằng is the first person from the Ruk ethnic group to have passed the entrance exam for higher education. Thanks to her mother's encouragement and strong determination, Hang's dream finally came true.
I have 8 children, so I have to work very hard to afford their studies. I'm an illiterate person and living a very difficult life. That's why I encourage my children to go to school. I hope they will find a good job and have a better life.
After more than a year of pursuing higher education at Quảng Bình University, Hằng has adjusted to university life and is now getting along well with her friends.
My dream is pursuing higher education. During the first year at university, I faced many difficulties in acquiring knowledge as I learned very slowly. In addition, my family is poor. Despite that, I have overcome all challenges thanks to my family and the support of others.
The government issued a decree on supporting ethnic students in mountainous areas. Therefore, she has been given priority to live in the dormitory with her classmates. This way, she could get along with her friends and keep on track in class.
Hang's success has inspired other adults in the Ruk community to let their children pursue their studies at school.
I like going to school every day as I can learn useful knowledge. I hope I'll be able to pass the university entrance exam.
The number of children in the Chit ethnic group attending high schools or doing vocational training is on the rise.
My major is preschool education. I choose this major at university because I love children. After graduating university, I'll return to my homeland and teach local children.
Hằng has been trying her best to sharpen her knowledge and skills in her journey to become a good teacher. Her ultimate dream is to help ethnic children pursue their studies for a better future.
Coming up next in our world news, UAE and Egypt make airdrops of humanitarian aid to Gaza. And UN says 2023 deadliest year for migrants in a decade. The United Arab Emirates and Egypt dropped the third batch of humanitarian relief by air to people in northern Gaza on Wednesday. The aid contained 38 tons of food and medical supplies, bringing the total amount of aid dropped since the launch of Operation Birds of Goodness to 116 tons. The United States military, in coordination with Jordan, Egypt, and France, airdropped more than 36,000 meals into northern Gaza on Tuesday. The Palestinian Foreign Ministry on Wednesday demanded Israeli authorities open all crossings with the Gaza Strip to accelerate the entry of humanitarian aid for Palestinians in Gaza, especially the northern parts. Meanwhile, international mediators have been working for weeks to reach a ceasefire in Gaza before the Muslim holy month of Ramadan begins around March the 10th. 2023 saw 8,565 migrant deaths, making it the deadliest year since 2014. According to the International Organization for Migration, or IOM, the 2023 death toll represents a tragic increase of 20% compared to 2022, highlighting the urgent need for action to prevent further loss of life. Last year's death toll surpassed the previous record of 8,080 VTV4 in 2016. A lack of safe, regulated pathways forces thousands to undertake dangerous migration routes. According to the IOM, the most dangerous path for migrants has remained the Mediterranean Sea, with at least 3,129 deaths in 2023 as migrants attempted to reach Europe. So far, 512 migrants have already lost their lives this year. China will offer visa-free travel for nationals from Switzerland, Ireland, Hungary, Austria, Belgium, and Luxembourg from March the 14th. The decision was announced on Thursday by Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi at a press conference on the sidelines of the second session of the 14th National People's Congress. China hopes more countries will also offer Chinese citizens visa facilitation and encourage speedy resumption of international passenger flights. Last year, China announced a trial program to allow visitors from France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, and Spain to enter visa-free for 15 days. Many Asian and African countries are also included in the Chinese government's visa exemption policy. The visa-free travel policy has boosted the country's tourism sector and made things easier for travelers. For decades, the archetypal image of Japanese business and government has been group of men in dark suits. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida set a target last year for women to hold at least 30% of executive positions at leading companies by 2030. To achieve this goal, Tokyo has taken steps in providing training for women to be better prepared to take on leadership positions and develop their careers.
About 25 female office workers gathered at a seminar hosted by the Tokyo Metropolitan Government to learn about communication skills aimed at furthering career development.
There isn't any female role model in my company where I would like to learn about their working style for my future. I wanted to learn how other female managers in other companies or female employees aiming for management positions work, how they think about their future, and that is why I participated in this seminar.
Sumitani is not alone. The world's third largest economy has long faced challenges to close its gender gap, as the traditional mindset of labor division based on gender roles is still deeply rooted in Japan.
I think what keeps holding women back is the lack of experience. Because they have not been provided with such opportunities to further develop their career like men, so their work experience is overwhelmingly insufficient.
It's important for Japan and for Tokyo to make use of women's untapped energy. We want to provide a stage for them to shine on, so that people can see their achievements and think, oh, that's amazing. Women have good business ideas. That's what attracts investments. We would like to create such a sustainable and positive cycle.
Japan is a country vulnerable to external pressure. It's important for companies to know about the global momentum rather than just Japan, and the perspectives of investors in the world. That is to say, the business leaders need to understand that increasing the ratio of female executives is a must, and they need to commit to making this happen.
The gender disparity in Japan extends beyond the percentage of executives who are female. Many women experience periods of leave in their late 20s and 30s due to maternity or childcare leave. During this time, their careers temporarily come to a halt. To overcome these barriers, some Japanese companies are considering implementing mechanisms to improve work-life balance.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go. See you again at 3 p.m. local time. Goodbye for now.